Italian football has given so much to the world, with many great players and incredible sides. But none of this may have been possible were it not for a man from Stockport. William Garbutt was a man with an unremarkable playing career, but after travelling to Italy as a coach, he revolutionised the game, and Italian football will forever be in his debt. This is the story of William Garbutt, the father of Italian football. William Garbutt was born in the village of Hazel Grove in Stockport. He would join the army at a young age, turning out for the Royal Artillery football team. Whilst there, he was spotted by Reading, who he joined in 1903. He would go on to play for Woolwich Arsenal and Blackburn Rovers. On the 16th of September 1911, he experienced a moment that changed his life forever. He was on the receiving end of a bad tackle, and after becoming blighted by a series of injuries, he would end up retiring from football at the age of 29. Having recently married and with a child on the way, Garbutt was in a pickle. After wondering what to do next to support his family, he decided to set sail. He and his family left Blighty to go to Genoa in Italy. The city had always been described as the most English place in Italy, and Garbutt would work on the city's docks. Garbutt would soon go on to become manager of Genoa. Quite how this happened is debated, with some saying that future Italy manager Vittorio Pozzo recommended Garbutt to the club, having seen him play for Blackburn Rovers, whilst others say that Thomas Coggins, an Irishman who coached Genoa's youth side, recommended Garbutt to the club. Nonetheless, William Garbutt took charge of Genoa in 1912, and he would change the Italian game forever, becoming the first ever professional football manager in the country. With professionalism having been in place in England for many years, Garbutt took what the English game had taught him and applied it to his new side. He overhauled the training regimes, focusing on fitness as well as introducing tactical systems. The incredible fitness his sides had meant they had energy far greater than their opponents, and were able to fight until the end. The players had his respect, and would refer to Garbutt as Mr., a term used for managers in Italy to this day. He was the first manager to conduct a paid transfer, and also took Genoa to Reading to play a friendly, making them the first Italian club to play outside of Italy. Results soon followed on the pitch. In 1913, they finished in second place, and amongst the backdrop of World War I, Genoa finished in top spot and were declared Italian champions for the first time in 11 years in 1913. It was controversial to some, as the season had been curtailed due to the war, but it was still an impressive achievement. The war took a heavy toll on Genoa, with them losing a number of players in the conflict. Garbutt would return home to join the army, rising to the rank of officer, but after the war, he returned to Italy to continue his work. In 1923, Genoa were champions again, and had done so in style, with the side winning the title without defeat. The next year, he was part of Vittorio Pozzo's coaching staff for Italy at the 1924 Olympics. That year as well, Genoa retained their title as champions of Italy. To date, they have not been Italian champions since. Garbutt remained at Genoa until 1927, when he left to seek a new challenge. He would take the reins at newly formed Roma, and tasted further glory when he led them to the Coppa Coni in 1928. He then moved further south, taking over at Napoli, and whilst there, adopted an Italian child in Maria. He took the club, who had experienced little success, to consecutive third-place finishes, an achievement that it took many years to reach again. He crossed a new border into Spain, where he took over at Athletic Bilbao in 1937. The club had already experienced success under management of one Englishman in Fred Pentland, and Garbutt continued this. In his first season, he guided Athletic Bilbao to the Spanish title. However, amongst the Spanish Civil War, he fled back to Italy, managing AC Milan before returning to his adopted home of Genoa. They had slumped since Garbutt's departure, but in his second spell, he managed to guide them to a third-place finish. However, his career would be disrupted by war once again. With the outbreak of World War II, he was imprisoned due to his nationality. With his health deteriorating due to squalid conditions, his wife Anna appealed for his release. The authorities relented when they realised that the death of the country's most famous football manager being on their hands would not have helped their reputation. William and Anna would retreat to the Italian countryside. Tragedy struck though, as Anna was killed during a bombing raid. William Garbutt would return to England with his heart broken, and was never the same. After the war, he would have one last spell with Genoa, receiving a standing ovation on his return as he led them to a 4-0 win. He guided Genoa to 10th place, but it would be the end of the union afterwards. By now, Garbutt was old and heavily damaged by the war. He returned to England to live in a small house in Leamington Spa. For all his achievements, in his homeland, he remains unknown. William Garbutt died on the 24th of February 1964, at the age of 81. In his homeland, there was little reaction to his death, with a small procession of family and friends at his funeral. But in his adopted homeland, there was an outpouring of grief. Every newspaper gave a lengthy obituary to him. Vittorio Pozzo, who ended up guiding Italy to 2 World Cup victories, described William Garbutt as the most important man in the history of Italian football. William Garbutt is one of the great English footballing pioneers. It was Jack Reynolds who taught the Dutch how to play, George Renner who taught the Swedes, and Jimmy Hogan who taught the Hungarians. And it was William Garbutt who taught the Italians. Calcio is one of the most successful areas of football. With a national side who have won 4 World Cups and 2 European Championships, they have a national side who have won 4 World Cups and 2 European Championships, and there have been 11 occasions where an Italian team has won the European Cup. It is likely none of this would be possible without the man from Stockport. William Garbutt taught the Italians how to play the game and became the first of many great coaches in Italian football. Without his wisdom, Italy may never have risen to the top of world football, and they will always owe thanks to the original Mr. himself, William Garbutt.